Let's start to dive into this. So, Chris, if you want to advance to the next slide. So, in case everyone is not aware who's joining today, I'm the CEO and founder of No Typical Moments. But as I like to say, Chris Squared is going to be leading the call today. So, Chris and Chris right here are two of our AI experts. And so if you aren't aware of what No Typical Moments is all about, I just want to share this at a high level and we'll get right into the meat of the conversation today. And the way we define an organization is for growth stage organizations, NTM is a growth marketing agency that enters your business at the inflection point when you're ready to scale. Our deep bench of marketing experts in online education becomes a natural extension of your internal team, which enables you to reach 7 figures with strategic and tactical implementation without the headache of the hiring process. And we really believe in our impact with profit methodology is our key to success for the last 10 years of being in business. And part of us needing to stay ahead of the curve of what's going on in digital is figuring out what is going on with AI, bring this type of knowledge to you all, and in turn, all of our clients. And Chris, if you want to go to the next slide. And today is going to be more focused on ethics in AI. The reason we chose this is that as a California benefit corporation, we have a certain standard we need to uphold as a business. And AI is one of the most powerful and potentially scary, destructive technology advancements in the history of humankind. So we wanted to bring you this information today from a tactical standpoint of not only how you can be using this to gain some advantages over your competitors, but also how you can do this in an ethical manner that you can sleep at night with. So the agenda today, Chris and Chris are going to be running you through is ethics in AI, innovating with AI. And at the end, we'll share a little bit more about our AI pilot program. So that being said, Chris, I will pass this over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about ethics, and at the tail end of when I'm discussing, I'll talk a little bit about thinking strategically and ways to brainstorm strategically using AI, and then hand it over to Chris Paluda. However, Andrew and Chris, of course, hop in anytime as I'm presenting if you have any other thoughts or ideas you want to share with the audience. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do a quick background, ethical issues, accuracy, which is a big issue with AI, right? Do's, don'ts, rights, terms, and staying ahead of the law. So first of all, there's this website. It's called There's an AI for That. And back in November, there were a few hundred AI systems listed in their software database. Now they have 6,405. I created this slide last week. I looked at it this morning, and there is an AI for that has 6,620. So in other words, there are 200 new AI systems uploaded in the software program in their database in the last week alone. So there are a ton of AI systems. However, as we all probably know, GPT is the juggernaut in the industry, and Google's Bard has come in really heavily in the area of the large language models, right? In the area of graphics, we believe that Midjourney is the de facto leader and the best producer, and we'll show you what we're doing with that. That doesn't mean that there aren't 6,402 other systems to look at, and I know that you will. We'll just mention a few of them as we go along. Okay, ethical issues. As we know, and as we've seen in the news, the biggest concern with AI is that, especially with the large language models or any AI systems, is that it could be used for nefarious purposes, right? That people could now use these very sophisticated systems to deceive people, whether it be robbing people or politically deceiving people or other issues, right? So, for example, you could take a political leader, you can make them look like they're doing something that they're not doing, okay? You could make the president of the United States have a speech that he never gave. That's a big, example, but that can be done. So the AI systems have placed bumpers or ways to block people from doing nefarious things. like what I just suggested. However, there's something called algospeak. And that algospeak has been around a long time in the social networks, but it is also being used now in AI systems. That means that individuals can use words in the AI system that gets around the bumpers. So it's just like what do you call it? Spam blocking, where you have a system that's doing a great job at blocking the spam, but the spammers are getting better at figuring out how to get around them. So we're running into a little bit of that with the AI systems right now. So rather than using the word dead, you could say unalive. Rather than using the word pandemic, you could use the word Panda Express. Those are the current algospeak words to get around the systems. And those algospeak are constantly advancing. So the AI companies, Microsoft, Google, et cetera, are constantly trying to come up with ways to stop these nefarious people. The primary thing that is being done is that people are mimicking other individuals. So they're taking somebody's image or likeness and using it for themselves, whether it be written communications, video, or most seen now in the news is voice, right? You could get a call from somebody that sounds like your mother or a friend, and it's actually not your mother or friend. It's somebody mimicking you. And what they would be trying to do is steal, get you to release your banking information so that way they can steal your money, right? So those are the nefarious things, right? So now the bad actors have access to some pretty sophisticated technology to let them do some bad things. So we're trying to stay on top of that. So that's number one, people using AI for nefarious purposes. Number two, and I just mentioned this because it's just got to be mentioned briefly, cheating in school. So students not doing the work or plagiarizing. There are plenty of, I'm not going to go down this route, but there are plenty of ways to stop the students from plagiarizing. But as soon as you stop the students from plagiarizing, they figure out another way to do it, right? Okay, so that's fine. The question is, can you use AI to cheat in business? If so, what does that look like, right? And then how do you make sure that you're not doing that, right? So the top two things I want to mention, number one is taking away jobs. Some people feel like there's an ethical issue of taking away somebody's job and replacing them with automation. I'm not going to go down that route, but I am going to talk about how the fact is that since November, when ChatGPT has launched, there's been a tremendous amount of people saying they expect large amounts of people to be let go. I did a bunch of research and I have found no evidence that that has actually happened yet. There might be individual cases like, oh, I know this person was let go because now there's AI, right? But supposedly, if you look on, there's been no results, no research on a large data to suggest that's happening yet. We're watching that. Here is the area that you probably need to watch out for is modifying or changing things you don't own and confidentiality. Let me explain first on the modifying and changing things you don't own. It is now possible to take an image of an individual, let's say it's a customer of yours, and you can change their image to be holding your product if they're not holding your product. Or you can change their image to be in a hat, or change their image to be walking in a street instead of sitting at a desk. All of that is possible. You could also download an image you do not own, upload it into AI, and alter that image. Is that ethical, legal, or it's definitely possible? Is it ethical or legal? We're going to talk about that, and there's a strong belief that is not ethical. Then there's the confidentiality, and that is if you upload information at AI, what happens to it? And if you're in the healthcare government or government contractor space, is it just or ethical to use AI? And most individuals say no, unless you're using an API. We'll talk about that too. Okay, so Oh, and this goes into something that I just want to touch about briefly. There is a huge issue with AI being accurate. I think if anybody here who has used AI has run into a situation where it gave you inaccurate information. You can't blame AI for its mistake. You are responsible for the outcome that you display to your customers, prospects, employees. So, and I know Chris Paluta is going to talk about a case, in an actual legal case, in which somebody did something wrong and tried to blame it on AI. It just doesn't go anywhere. So it's up to you to make sure you get accurate information. How do you do that? Number one is when you're running your prompts, you can ask AI to provide it references for any facts it provides. Google's Bard, I am finding out more recently, even will provide a link to their Google results where they got the information. Google Bard is starting to outpace GPT, I think, in the last month so in innovation, and it's doing a pretty good job. So I know if you're using ChatGPT, you may want to start now testing Bard. When Bard first was released, I was using it. I was like, this isn't great. Now it's much better. The other thing you can do, somebody told me this case where it got an answer out of ChatGPT, and then he asked GPT, is the information you provided correct? And GPT responded back with, no, here's the correct information. So it corrected itself once it was asked. So that's another way to do it. You can ask it to provide you accurate information with references. And then the other one is nothing beats a human. Check it yourself before you place it in front of audience. I'm going to state this, but I'm going to also refute it. It's getting better, meaning ChatGPT and the other algorithms are getting, or other AI systems are getting better with accuracy. We've seen recently that just anecdotally, it seemed to start getting worse for a few weeks, meaning it started giving inaccurate information again in mass for a little while. So in other words, as you're going through anything that you're doing with AI, just make sure that you're checking your information. You can never be too cautious.
Chris, to interject on one point right there is
Yeah.
pretty much are being forced to upgrade on ChatGPT at the moment. I do it just to do some research on Instagram influencers, if you want to call them that. And the regular ChatGPT gives me nothing upgraded, and the lists are amazing.
You mean ChatGPT 4?
Correct. Yeah, they're
Yes.
kind of forcing you to upgrade there.
Yep, agreed. Also, sometimes I now like to look at GPT and then run the same query or prompt in Bard just to see if there's any differences or additions that it might add to it. Okay, so remember over here I mentioned to you, and this is in the area of confidentiality. What happens to your data when you place it in ChatGPT? I don't think anybody here has actually gone through their terms of use. How often do you do that? But I actually took a little bit of time and I wanted to go see what they said. And I wanted to point this out to you. It says right here, if you do not want your non-API, and I'll talk about that second, if you do not want your non-API content used to improve services, you can opt out by filling out this form. So I would recommend that you do that, because anything right now that you upload in GPT can be used by any other company, including your competitors. You're training GPT to know more about your company. That means your competitor can know more about you. There are two ways to avoid that. Number one is use an API, meaning use a plugin provided. There's a lot of plugins. There's, I think, over 1,000 plugins now for GPT. Use a plugin that protects your content, or fill out this form, right? They do say, please don't share any sensitive information in your conversations, okay? Take a look at this. This is Midjourney. This is what they say in their terms. They say, If you knowingly infringe on someone else's intellectual property and that costs us money, we're going to come find you and collect that money from you. That's what they say. This is taken verbatim from their terms. We might also do other stuff, like try to get a court to make you pay for our attorney fees. Don't do it. The concept is that if you're taking somebody else's paid, like you're not paying for that image or the content of any sort, and you're uploading into it, you're not supposed to do that. But here, notice how it says then that costs us money. You might be doing it and it doesn't cost them money because you're just doing it to play around with the system or whatever, then that's fine, right? But if you're doing it and now you're going to use that image to make money, and now Midjourney gets sued for that, they're going to come after you. They're going to find you and they're going to come after you. If that makes sense, right? So with Midjourney is our go-to right now for images. Chris Paluta did these images right here. None of these people in this screenshot right here are real. They're all AI images, right? Keep in mind, AI is probably building these images of individuals based off of hundreds of other people that have been uploaded into the system. Okay, if you get this, let's say we wanted to use this on our website. Do we own that image? And do we need to give credit? Okay, according to Midjourney, if you have the paid subscription of Midjourney, you own the image. So a lot of people are paying for Midjourney so that they could run multiple images, get multiple photos of people or whatever, and you play a flat rate of, I don't know, is it 20 or $30? 30
Yeah.
a month, 30 a month, and you get unlimited images from Midjourney. So that's one reason why people are using Midjourney for images, right? And now you own them. Okay. Here was in a Reddit stream, there's a whole thread going on right now that says, is it deceptive if you are suggesting or claiming the image is real? Most likely you're not claiming the image is real. You're just maybe suggesting because it's on the homepage, right? Most of the time, it's probably not a big deal. However, many people feel like, and I feel like especially, it's okay, and it's actually kind of cool to say that this image is generated using Midjourney, and you can add that both in your terms and conditions or even on your site or underneath. It is totally okay. So you know how when you go to a newspaper website, let's say Washington Post, and you see an image and underneath it, it has the caption and it says who they are or where who took the photo? Well, that's where you would say, you know, photo created by Midjourney. And it's totally cool to do that. You're giving credit where credit is due. Is that the law? No, it's not the law, but we are beyond the laws. So it's about doing what's right and what's ethical, not just doing what the law says, okay? The laws are being formed right now, and the laws are being formed by lawsuits, most likely. So as a lawsuit appears and occurs, once the judge or the courts decide the outcome of it, then a law can start being formed, is the concept. Okay, so do's and don'ts. Number one, and this is true of anything, it has nothing to do with AI. Give credit where credit is due. There's a lot of great artists, writers, creators out there that all they want is credit. You know, Creative Commons has to go to the Creative Commons website, has a suggestion of how to do that. Okay. If you're using customer information or any information, you're not sure, do I have permission? Just ask for it. Ask for permission to alter the image. 99% of the time, you're probably going to get a yes. And then also do check the facts, of course. Don't upload customer information to AI. If you do, it becomes public information. So the other thing is, I was talking to a government contractor. The government contractor has RFPs that they're doing for government. So they're uploading a bunch of information that the government has given them in order to do the RFP. They didn't realize it, but their competitors are running their RFPs on ChatGPT and therefore probably accessing their government information that they uploaded into the system. So they are now banned from uploading or using any AI system unless it's through an API to protect them, okay? So just know that. The other one is version images unless you're given permission. So ask for permission. Don't version the images unless you're given permission or you are giving credit, okay? Okay, let's just dive into a little bit and more in the area of competitive advantages and innovation. So, in a lot of people think that you're going to save a lot of money by implementing AI. Some of my research is suggesting that people aren't necessarily saving money. Instead, they're just getting 40% more of the work done. They have things that they've never been able to do. Now they can get to it. So now they're able to generate more content, handle more incoming calls, do more research, do more campaigns faster than ever before. So rather than letting people go, they're being more competitive by doing more. All right. So it's about doing more with the same budget. As a matter of fact, you know, a lot of people are saying they're able to increase content generation by as much as 40%. So instead of letting go your writers, you're able to get more blogs, SEO content, website, PR article, case studies, emails. All of this is being able to be done much faster. And why is this all important to your competitive nature of your company? More content leads to increased trust and credibility, higher rankings in Google, and therefore higher conversion rates. So that's how you get the competitive advantage of using AI. On the customer service side, you're able to now, if you're in the area of, okay, I'm ready to start scaling. As you start scaling, you're like, oh, I need to hire more customer service reps. Maybe what you do is you keep the number of customer service reps you have, but you're able to do more with customer service. Number one, instead of it just being daytime hours, you could do 24/7 service. And also you can triage. What I mean by that is you can automatically understand the sentiment of the individual that is chatting with you on your website. And if they're really angry, you can automatically send that to the top of the queue with your customer service person, right? Also, you can do multilingual in a matter of a day. And now you can handle multiple languages. So what you're doing, again, is you're scaling your customer service quickly using AI systems. And usually with your AI systems, the majority of large customer service software solutions have now AI built into it or have the ability to have a plugin. So whether it's Zendesk, Twilio, a live person with an IBM, which have been around for a long time, or there are even some smaller ones as well. Okay. I'm just going to share this last one before handing it over to Chris. But prompts for, I just want to share this. Prompts for strategic brainstorming. I typically do this on Sunday mornings. Why? I don't know. It's my quiet time and it's the time that I like to think about business, right? So here are some prompts I play around with. I've been using Bard a lot more lately. The reason why I also like Bard is for a while with ChatGPT, you could plug in a URL in GPT and it would scour that page that you give it and provide you answers live in real time with what's on that page. Now, if you use ChatGPT, it looks at that page on what was on that page a year and a half ago. Google's Bard will look at what's on that page in real time and say, what's in that page today, and provide you answers that you're looking for. So some things that you can do is you can ask it, who are the my top competitors? And for each of those top competitors, what's their unique value proposition? And you can see what their unique value proposition is compared to yours. You can also ask it to run a SWOT analysis on your website and all of your competitors' website. SWOT, for those that don't know, are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So I did a SWOT analysis quickly on Zoom. We're all on Zoom right now. it was interesting that they said the number one weakness of Zoom is security. And then when you look at it, and I did more research, I could see that the number one thing that Zoom's competitors are really hitting hard at to get people to move away from Zoom is security threats. So banks, financial institutions, government, all that don't use Zoom, right? They're moving away from it. What type of content is popular for, you can put in your website, you can put it in a competitive website, you can see what's popular. What type of content is popular on my website, compare it to my competitors. Or what popular blog topics are there for certain websites? Or where does my website advertise? What I like to do is I say, where does my website currently advertise? And you can see how correct it is because you know where you advertise. Usually it's about 85, 90% correct. And then you can ask it, where should I advertise? Now, this is as with most strategic things. These are things that will get your brain juices flowing and start getting you thinking about what you could do differently with your organization. In the past, to run this kind of data, you might hire an agency or have somebody else do it, or maybe you do it yourself, and it would take weeks. Now I do it in a Sunday morning. That's the power of AI, right? Okay, so that's my little thing. Chris has a lot more to detail that she's going to provide in also about how to use specifics of AI to get immediate results that probably will generate a lot more revenue fast. Chris?
Hi. So yes, I'm going to talk about some of the competitive research and then generally how you use that competitive research to make your ads. So we can go to the next. Yes, thank you. So Chris mentioned this before, but there was a case in May where an attorney had a fellow attorney do some research, presented a brief to the judge, and it turned out that 6 of the cases that they listed in the brief were fake cases. They didn't exist at all. And the other side was like, hey, to the judge, these cases aren't real. They had even asked in the chat themselves, they had asked, you know, where are your sources for these? And they had given sources. So just checking chat to ask chat if it's true or where the sources is not enough, especially for something like this as a legal brief. You definitely want to be exact. And so that's just a little bit of a warning. Make sure that you're double checking. And in fact, there was a stat that said ChatGPT has actually the accuracy, because so much stuff is being fed into it, that the accuracy of the latest version has actually gone down. I believe it was by like 28%. So double check, triple check. Okay, so let's say you are trying to put together a campaign and you're not sure where to start. I think asking AI is a totally reasonable place to start. So I'm giving you an example of a project I was working on, and I was looking for some competitive data on a personal development course geared towards improving relationships. And so I said, hey, how can you help me with that? And it gave me some different ideas: course titles and descriptions, instructor bios, content, course format, pricing, reviews, social media engagement, which then gave me some ideas of where I wanted to dig down. Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, so what I then said was, hey, can you help me by consolidating the course titles and the descriptions for these courses? Because I know then if I'm looking at those course titles and descriptions, that's first, it's giving me indication, are these actually truly competitive? And then it's giving me some ideas on what type of course would be a little bit different than what's already being offered out there. So it gave me a list of everything that it could pull. And then let's go to the next one. One thing I noticed was it didn't give me the companies, and I wanted to dig a little deeper on the companies that were offering those courses. So then I asked it which company does each course, and it gave me this list. And then you can see on the bottom right, there's actually an export to sheets, which is one of the things I like about Bard. This was Bard that I was doing this research in. It allows you to then export that information to sheets. So I can then create my Google Sheet with all the competitive information I want to put in there. So after I have that, let's see, I wanted to look for some Instagram accounts. I wanted to start digging into the social. It's like, what are the sites that are doing a lot of engaged activity around improving relationships? And so again, this went and it pulled the different sites. One of the things I really like about this, if you go to the next slide, Chris, I also looked at the YouTube channels. One of the things that you can do, maybe it's the next slide. Sorry to be jumping around on slides like this. Actually, you can hit on the bottom. You can hit there's a share your research, and it gives you this link. So if any of you, for example, want to look at that research that I was doing, you can do that by clicking on this link, and you'll see the exact prompts, all the results, everything like that, which makes it great to share with people, even people who live in countries that don't have access to BARD yet. For example, Canada doesn't have access to BARD yet. Someone in Canada can go ahead and review that research, and they can see everything. So that's one way to start consolidating research, and then use research for different things. One of the things that I like to do with that research is I now have some information of who I could target these ads to when I'm running Facebook ads. All those different lists of the high-end YouTube creators and the high-end Instagram creators for that, those become targeting audiences for this particular material. And then Chris, if we can go to the next slide.
And Chris, just to interject real quick, for everyone in attendance, I know we had promised you all this was going to be 30 minutes today. So if this was quick on your lunch break, feel free to head off. We are going to be sending this Zoom recording, more information on the AI pilot. But if you still have some time in your lunch, we're going to continue on with Chris's side of the presentation.
So I think this is what I was just mentioning. You can use to target those audiences on Facebook campaigns. And now you've identified some verbiage that's already publicly available that you can use to build the ads. You can use that copy as something that you would put in to BARD or ChatGPT, or another one I really like for more realistic sounding, human sounding copy is Write Sonic. So let's go to the next slide. So one of the things you want to make sure of is that your copy doesn't sound written by AI. There's a couple things that AI typically does. They tend to have like a pre-headline and a post-headline with colons in the middle. If you see that, people are starting to go like, oh, well, that was AI generated. So there's a couple of things that you want to you can quickly edit that. You can put it into another tool that humanizes it, or it's pretty easy to go through and just humanize it yourself. You save a lot of time by getting some basic content from AI and then humanizing it yourself. Okay, so I'm going to take you through, and I'll go quickly through this because I know we're over time, how to use ChatGPT and Midjourney to create an ad that you can use in Facebook. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so for any ad creation, you really want to input some background and vision into the system that you're using. You want to start by creating a hook, and then you're going to refine and expand on that hook to create the entire ad. And as you tell it what you like and what you don't like, the messaging tends to get better and better. So for instance, I was looking at this particular Hell on a Hill event that we wanted to create an ad for. So first I gave it that information. I gave it the link, and I asked it to come up with 5 hooks for Facebook ads. If you're asking it for something like a Facebook ad, it already has the information in there about what the length and format of a Facebook ad is, and for LinkedIn and for most of the common places that you advertise. Or you can feed that information in with it if something's changed recently and you want to make sure that it's giving you the right format. So I do like to include that when I'm feeding it, and don't just ask for hooks specifically what the hooks are for so that the length is right. In this case, I liked 4 of them. So I said, hey, can you please include the headline with those hooks, since I thought it was good information. And then let's go to the next one. Okay, and then one of the important things is now you've got some basics that you like. Now you have to massage it a little bit. So you want to give it a voice. And the best way to do that is you verbalize, or not in writing, you tell it which voice. So in this case, I wanted a fun voice. And then I also added inspired by Dan Kennedy tactics. Dan Kennedy is a famous direct marketer, copywriter. There's a lot of information that goes into requesting that specific voice. It will usually be professional. It will be pointed towards an end goal, usually a sale. So if you add that in, it gives it a lot of information. It went ahead and it readjusted those to have that fun voice and to be pushing towards that end goal. And then I wanted some additional headline options. So I just asked for extra headline options to go along with that existing copy. So that gives me more to choose from. And then, as we know, emojis really increase engagement rate. It's funny because I think I don't like them, but I even noticed that your brain metabolizes that information from a visual so much faster than it does the words. So every test we've done, the emojis outperform text only. So having ChatGPT give you emojis to pull through versus having to go and scroll through all the emojis, it's like a huge time savings for you. And then the next thing is I want to go and I want to get some images and I don't want to build them from scratch. So you can even ask AI to give you prompts to put into an image generator like Midjourney, and it will help you get the images you want. So I asked for some prompts. It now has all the background on what I'm trying to do. So it's able to come up with different prompts. So Midjourney, again, like Chris was mentioning earlier, if you do the paid version, you own the images that come out of it. If you don't do the paid version, you can still use it, but then anyone could pull those same images. So a competitor could use the exact same image that you have. So if you're doing something that's going to be world facing, I would definitely use the paid version. So those images become yours. You really want to define what you want to see. Oh, that's okay. You can go to the next one. Right here, you're defining what you want to see. So an image of a runner wearing a superhero costume, while running up a steep hill, sunrise in the background, runner holding his arms out like they're taking off. One thing that's not done in here, so I could point it out, is you really want to make sure you put in the aspect ratio. So if you're doing different types of ads, or depending on your website, you might want a 1-to-1 ratio, you might want a 5-to-7 ratio. There's another slide where I show you exactly how to put that in, but it's important that you ask for the ratio you want so you don't end up with an image that's not going to fit the place you want to put it. So aspect ratio, you're going to get these after, so I won't go through each of these, but it shows you exactly how to put the information in. Negative prompting is really good. So let's say you're prompting, you keep getting images and they continue to have a tree in it and you don't want a tree in it. And you can just do the -- no tree. Styling, much like voice for the copy. Styling is an important one if you want to have it look really realistic. There's hyper realistic or cinematic. If you want it to look more impressionistic, you can do that. You can use Van Gogh. I mean, there's a lot of artists that you can use their stylings of that you can put it together. Can we go back one more? There's one more thing in here I wanted to talk about, which is the wide angle lenses or the different angles. So for instance, you might end up with something that's really close up and you want to have it zoomed out, or you might have something that's zoomed really far and you want to have it close in, or you want a little bit more perspective on something. So you can look under those lenses and there's some different options for you to get more the image you want. So here's pulling it all together. Here is an ad that is the images that are created from Midjourney, and that is content created from ChatGPT all together in a Facebook ad. And then I think another one will pop up if you click. And this was the video it's a video that we created using all the stuff from AI. Let's see, it'll be a little quick one. So it's just going through the different images that AI created, and it gives you a little bit different vibe for each one, right? Like victory, like you can do anything inspirational, and then the companionship. So it's amazing how effective these tools are when used together. Okay, that's it for my part.
So Amanda, if you want to put the pilot program in the Q&A, I know his chat's been a little wonky. If not, we'll send this out to everyone right afterwards. If you want to learn more about our AI pilot program, I'm not going to be going on a long pitch today. Really wanted to deliver some great content for everyone who's in attendance, but we'd love to hear what you're currently doing with AI, and if there are opportunities for us to collaborate this fall, we'd love to be your partner in AI. And with that being said, we do want to go into a QA session for everyone who is in attendance, and we'll start sorting through the Q&A section. So I already see Samantha populating some questions in. Feel free to add yours in. We'll stay as long as we need to today to get through everybody. So with the slide deck, so Samantha, we will be sending all this information out afterwards, so stay tuned to your email inbox. But Chris, I'll let you lead through some of the other questions that are coming in.
Sure. The
Yes.
first question. Yeah, go ahead. Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying Samantha was asking if we're going to share the deck, and you will get an email with the deck.
And then as far as staying up to date on AI, there's multiple ways. Copy.ai has a great newsletter. If there are many AI newsletters, but one of my favorite is Copy.ai. And then also I do use, there's an AI for that, and look at the most saved or the most popular. And I just view those websites there periodically to see what the top ones being used by many people are.
I also I mean, we have a little group internally that we share things with, but I actually find Instagram, if you type in, new AI trick or things like that, there's people that are doing reels and they're excited about whatever they figured out with AI. I actually am a little bit obsessed with all the new stuff from AI. So I probably look at that almost daily to make sure that I'm seeing what's new that I could be doing to use AI smarter, better, faster.
One person, Judah. Oh, Judah, you asked about most excited about AI. I'm very excited to see what the video AI technology improvements will be. The video AI systems where you just text a video, you say, provide me a video of somebody running down the street wearing Nike shoes. That is not working very well yet. It is there. It's just not usable, but I can't wait for that to be very usable. I'm very excited to see how that works. It'll change everything.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait. I keep testing that one every week. I'm like, not quite there for real people, but it has some great object ability.
Yep. And then what are some of the practical steps that can take after a Zoom recording? For me, if you haven't already typed in some basic research prompts like run a SWOT analysis or provide me a marketing tactical plan for my website, you can just start by typing that in. You can do that right now, and in a matter of minutes, get some really interesting things to look at. Or what are the unique ways for me to counteract my competition? And you probably type in your website and you type in the competitor's website, things like that. Do that today. See what you get.
I love the SWOT analysis you've done with that too, Chris.
Yes.
I'll answer the one around the AI pilot program, and Chris, if you want to keep on from there. So this is going to be customized for people who do apply. And it's going to be anything from prompt engineering to potentially custom AI to auditing, your full marketing department's P&L statement to figure out where some more automation can come into play. So it's really going to be a reflection of what you're currently doing, the size of your organization. But the Chris's and I would love to have a conversation with you, and it's a simple form to fill out. We are having issues with chat to send this to you. Also, in the email follow-up, you will see the application.
That's interesting. I'm reading the one about Bard. I have a Google business account. When I try to access Bard, it says I don't have access. Have you tried logging in just with a personal account? It may just be a different type of access to it, but give that a try. Let me know. I'm curious if that works for you or not.
And Samantha is asking about top Instagram, TikTok AI tools. There are many. I know, Chris, you use one, is that Lumen 5?
Yes, Lumen 5 is great for making quick and easy video. It's got some B-roll, it's got some different things, so you can make the reels. Now, is that what you mean, that you want reels to make those, or were you looking for ones to follow that talk about AI tools? I'm not totally sure which way that question's asking. Canva also has some interesting templates, and they're starting to infuse some AI into it as well for some things you could use for Instagram and TikTok as well.
Do you feel like, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Do you feel like AI can make you less creative? Is that the one you're gonna go to?
Yeah.
I feel like it has the opposite effect. I love brainstorming, and Chris and I have actually worked together for, I probably won't say how long because it makes us sound really old, but I love brainstorming with Chris. Like, it always inspires my creativity. But let's say Chris isn't available or some other people on the team aren't available. I primarily use AI as a brainstorming tool. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about something like this. And then it gives, what ideas do you have? And it gives me ideas back. And then you can get into that flow where you become so much more productive. And then it's like having a brainstorming partner and a research assistant all together in one. And I tend to feed it my ideas too, right? So there's still that give and back and forth. Of course, I'm the only one ranking where I think the ideas go in that case, but I have really felt like it's spawned more creativity.
Yeah, the way I also look at it is I've been limited based on my creativity is limited based off of time, cost, and ability. Well, now time is seconds, cost is almost nothing, and it improves my ability, so I'm able to become creative much faster.
So I think that's the end of the Q&As. Oh, one more that came through, and that'll be the last one for today. Chris's, do you want to answer that one?
So what tool can be used to make Instagram posts monochromatic? That one?
Yes.
I'm sure if we went to there's an AI for that, it would answer that. I actually have not tried to make the post monochromatic yet, so I haven't personally used that. What was it? You put that website in there, right, Chris? There's an AI for that, .ai or .com. If you Google there's an AI for that one, I'm sure there's an AI for that.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for your attendance today. Like we've mentioned a few times, you'll get the recording, you'll get the slides, and you also get the AI application if you want to learn more. And we appreciate everyone's time today. And thank you very much for being in attendance.
Thank you.